Davis, before the video cut out, you were telling me about you and your sister and y'all's um, relationship together, and how it's kind of changed over the course of the years, I guess, coming into college, and from her freshman year to her senior year, how do you think that relationship has changed between y'all?
Well, she's like grown a lot, I guess, to be like her own person more, like independently,
Yeah.
or to be independent, which is a good thing. And you know, we don't get to meet up as much anymore just because we're both so busy now.
Mhm.
Like she's doing student teaching, and I'm
Yeah.
doing grad school stuff, and so like we try to get dinner like once, twice a week, just to like catch up. But we always text all the time and make sure we're
Yeah.
doing well. But I think the biggest thing is that she's just kind of come into her own because most freshmen
Yeah.
are pretty timid at first in
Mhm.
college, but she kind of embraced it really well and then took everything in stride and joined a sorority and everything
Yeah.
got involved. So
Yeah. So y'all keep up with each other pretty often.
hmm
So y'all are pretty close when it comes to just like knowing about each other and
yeah,
um, kind of just having a good relationship like
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
cool. And how do you keep in touch with your parents, being kind of so far away?
well, I mean, honestly, I probably talked to them more when they were in Thailand, just because they would always FaceTime me and like it was a 12-hour time difference.
Yeah.
So it made it kind of easier because, I'd be getting up and they'd be going to sleep, so they would call me, or, I'd be going to sleep, they'd be getting up, so they would call me. But nowadays, if I ever have a question, I'll just call my dad, or it's like because we're so close now, it's not like we need to talk all the time because we
Yeah.
kind of can know what's going on more,
Yeah.
just with texting and everything. But I'll probably still call my mom, like once every day or two, and same with my dad.
Yeah.
Just make sure stuff's going well, and because they just bought some land, so
Yeah.
I want to make sure with my dad, the pond's going good and everything like that. So.
Yeah. So are you and your parents a little bit? Have y'all gotten to be? Would you say a little bit distant? Have you guys has there been a little bit of distance between there since y'all aren't talking on the phone every single day or something like that? Do you think there's been a little bit of distance, or do you think y'all's relationship is still?
I don't think there's like any distance or like departure from the norm or anything
Mhm.
like that really. It's just like there's not necessarily. I think they kind of felt a little protective because they were so far away. That they need to keep checking up on me all the time. And me and Darcy have both gotten older now, and we're both like adults.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much as them like looking after their kids to make sure they're getting through college. It's more like, hey, how are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
how's life going?
Yeah.
You had like a test. Like, how'd that go?
Yeah.
Like, how stuff like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're telling me is your parents are very, very much like kind of giving you guys kind of just like the full reins on life a little bit and just like checking in to make sure things are going okay.
Well, yeah, they want us to make like our own decisions. Obviously, like they're not going to be holding everything over to us, but they still care for us a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, they realize that me and Darcy we're gonna make our own decisions.
Mhm.
I'm 25, she's 22.
Yeah.
So we're like about to get jobs and we're about to graduate. Me with my MBA and her with her
Yeah.
teaching degree. So we're about to spread our wings and like finally just kind of like go off on our own.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of job are you getting out of college?
Well, I'm gonna do wealth management down in Katy.
Okay.
So I need to, after I graduate, I have this summer, which I'm gonna go to Crooked Creek
Oh, yeah.
and do stuff like that, and
Mhm.
kind of have like my last summer really to myself to
Yeah.
to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But once I do that, I'm gonna study for 4 months, get my Series 7, which means I can publicly trade on the stock market and handle
Yeah.
other people's money.
Okay.
And then I'll also be picking up the business from a close family friend and learning the ins and outs of trading and portfolio management and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. So just a second ago, you mentioned something about Crooked Creek. What's that like? What's Crooked Creek do?
Well, Crooked Creek is like a part of Young Life, which I've gotten more involved with as throughout grad school actually, and it's just Young Life's an organization, a Christian organization here at Oklahoma State and also throughout the United States and actually globally as well.
Yeah.
And Crooked Creek is a camp that they offer in Fraser, Colorado,
Mhm.
and so I'll be a lifeguard there
Really?
for a month, be, you know, there to make sure kids don't drown, obviously, but
Yeah.
also to like watch kids be transformed about in a week at camp, which is like an amazing place, and like, you know, learn about the gospel, learn about Christ, and truly have life changed as
Yeah.
well.
What led you into going and deciding to go and spend a month at Crooked Creek?
Well, throughout this past year, I've done a lot of growing, just kind of as I've realized that a transition in my life's about to happen,
Yeah.
you know, and it was just on my heart. The more I got involved with Young Life, and the more I started, even though I'm not like a leader, the more I started getting involved and, you know, being present in the organization itself. And I was just kind of, it was always on my heart and I was on my mind, so I prayed about it for a while, and I
Yeah.
just, it kind of came up with Josh and through you about these different camps, and he was like, you know, Crooked Creek's like the place you want to go, and if you want to be, or I guess another thing that's been on my mind is I wanted to lead down in Katy or in
Yeah.
Belleville once I leave Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, if you like want to do that, like you should go to one of these camps and like really experience high school like ministry firsthand.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I applied, and I got literally the last spot available at Crooked
Really?
Creek. And so it's kind of just like a thing from God being like, this is where you're going to be and this is where you need to be. And so,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like over the past year, kind of as you began following Christ, you kind of like things have kind of just like fell into place that led you into going to Crooked Creek.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned recently is that things always happen for a reason, and there's really no coincidence in life.
Yeah.
Because when I would have planned my life, you know, when I was 25 years old, I would be completely different
Yeah.
from what I am currently. And so, like you said, like things just kind of fell into place or necessarily didn't work out when I wanted
Yeah.
them, you know? And it kind of led me down this path that is pretty unique but also really cool. And I'm just kind of along for the ride and making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like it's a pretty trying experience, almost kind of just being in the back seat of like life now. It's kind of like what I'm hearing you kind of say. You're kind of just like along for the ride almost, rather than kind of making your own plans all the time. You're kind of like expecting things to go your way.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest things too, is like I mean, people in general like to be in control.
Yeah.
And I've always been, you know, very like forward thinking and a planner. And so, you know, that's kind of like where wealth management fits in really well with my personality and my way of analytical thinking is, you know, planning for the future and like wanting things to happen in a specific way.
Yeah.
But, you know, as I've started to grow in my faith and realize that things do happen for a reason, you know, control is really just an illusion we want to have over life. And once you have freedom is when you relinquish control and realize that you're in charge of like how you feel and what you can do, but you're not necessarily in charge of your surroundings and other events that happen around you. But it's like being present in those moments and realizing you're where you need to be and what you can be doing during that time.
Yeah. Well, dang. It kind of sounds like the way you've been living your life now is kind of like pouring into like maybe your family. It's kind of like affected everything you've ever done. It's kind of like changing where you're going, changing how you kind of view other people, and view life in general, and kind of just like moving out throughout your daily life. And that's very, very encouraging to hear, and I think you're going a very, very good way. And it sounds like you kind of rather don't have it all figured out, but you know how to go about the things that you're involving yourself with. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's something like nobody has it figured out.
Yeah.
You know, I think as, you know, when you're a little kid and you look up like to a college student or an adult, like, wow, they're so smart. Like, you know, they have everything. They're an adult. They're in college. And like, as you kind of like reach that age, you just realize like nobody has it figured out. Everybody's still trying to figure out what they want, and, you know, what they're supposed to be doing. And, you know, that's okay to not necessarily have a plan, but to be doing the right things, I guess.
Yeah.
And to be always searching after God, and to be really applying yourself to all situations, I guess, and wanting to do good and help others.
Yeah.
And like that sounds like kind of cheesy, I guess, you know,
Yeah.
but it is. It's more than just like feeling good. It's like a lifestyle and a way of thinking more so
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah. And earlier you said something about there was something kind of on your heart about going to camp. Like, kind of explain to me what that feeling in your heart is when you kind of feel like you are supposed to go somewhere. Or would you say you were being led by God
Mhm.
to do something? What was that kind of like?
Well, it's more so. I don't know how to like. I've always had really strong convictions, even when I was like a little kid, and it's never really been something I've been able to shake. It's just kind of implicitly knowing what is right and what is wrong,
Yeah.
and it's just. I guess it'll pop into my head or my heart or whatever, and I'll feel it, and I don't like acting on things right away. Like I like to process them and make sure that what I'm feeling is like rational and that it's not just like a spur of the moment thing. So I'll pray about it for a while, and if something is like consistently there for a long period of time, I know it's not me, but it's something bigger, and I just need to kind of like answer it and realize what I need to do. And so that was camp, and that was being a leader for me, because I've thought about it for months. It wasn't just something I was just like, oh, I want to be a leader, or I want to go to camp,
Yeah.
And when I finally acted upon it, it was like when I decided to act upon it, it was just perfect timing.
Yeah.
With both myself and with God, and the way situations have worked out.
Yeah.
And it's cool to like look back in my life and realize that about like different events, I guess, whether that's like like relationships or interviews
Yeah.
or moving or stuff like that. They're not things that I necessarily followed directly when I felt them, but I continue to feel called and I answer to it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, dang. Well, I'm excited to kind of see I'm excited to hear about what Cookie Creek's like, and I'm excited to see kind of where you go from here in your walk of faith. It's been fun watching, and it's a lot better being a part of it. It's awesome. So, thanks for coming on. Shh. Dixie, no.
Here's 12 and a half minutes.